Welcome. You want to know the quickest way to make the most money on your rental properties? Stop focusing on top line revenue. Yep, that's right. I'm saying it. That the focus on getting the highest rent possible is leading you down the wrong path and ultimately to a poor bottom line. So in this short video, I'm going to cover a concept of income optimized rent. So to boost your ROI or return on investment, you need to focus on your IOR, an income optimized rent. It's not the top line rent in this particular section of the income simulation of a Rent Fax report that dictates the income. It's everything else in between. What we know from studying thousands and thousands of rental properties is that everything in between ultimately is influencing the income greater than the income or the revenue itself. For example, by lowering the rent, we greatly reduce the amount of time we are vacant in our marketing. By presenting a lower rent, we appeal to a higher caliber of tenant because we are selecting from a broader tenant base of candidates. We are also shortening that vacancy duration because we are getting more interest quickly. That's just one small example of how tweaking the rent can broaden our candidate base, draw a higher quality candidate, and ultimately in that lower rent will lead to a longer tenancy duration. So we just touched on a couple items there. By tweaking our rent down, we've increased tenancy duration, shortened vacancy, and put a better tenant into our property. These relationships continue in not only tenancy duration, vacancy, but also property management, tenant placement, and other attributes. Every time we go vacant, we're more than likely having to perform maintenance in a make-ready. We're paying fees for tenant placement and screening. I hope you can quickly see that charging the highest rent can quickly be eroded through a short tenancy cycle where you are replacing tenants more frequently. This notion and concept is put into action in analysis and a scientific approach in the Rent Fax income package. Here we're running what's called the SMART analysis of taking into account all these things we just discussed in a simulation model. By picking different rents and associated factors going with those rents, including tenancy duration, vacancy duration, property management fees, and the such, we arrive at a distribution of likely income. In this particular case, the most likely income, monthly income for this property is a little under $1,100. By adjusting what we select in this rental range, we can optimize this income we're receiving. The information necessary to optimize this is contained within the income package. Here we discuss costs for tenant placement that can erode income through frequent tenant turnovers. Next, we take a deep dive into vacancy. Here we've challenged the notion of vacant units versus an investment vacancy rate, which accounts for tenancy durations, how long our tenants are staying. The longer we can keep our tenants paying in our rental properties, the greater our income, because we're avoiding costs associated with make-readies, tenant placement, screening, and we're also avoiding lack of revenue through vacancy. Going to the top line, in the rent report section of the income package, we get a range of rents. This range is a most likely or probability distribution of rents associated in this neighborhood for this subject property. Here we can see the range. By starting with this range and introducing other factors such as vacancy for this particular area, tenancy durations, and other factors, we can adjust our asking rent to get closer to what's called an income optimized rent. Not necessarily the highest rent we can get for the property, but that rent which results in the highest income. I know this is a lot to absorb in a short video, but all the tools and information and data are available to you through this RentFax income package, including the heavy lifting of a 10,000 simulation model culminating in the income report, resulting in the most likely monthly income for a given property, given all these attributes. This view of optimizing income versus optimizing top-line revenue is the true path to success in rental property investing.